Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Christina is Chief
Uh,
Davis Cruz joining us today.
yeah, she is. I don't see her. Let me just send her a quick message. I see her now.
Have we heard from Miss Brody?
Not yet.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, in the interest of time, we can go ahead and get started. Please forgive me for my camera, everyone. I'm actually not feeling the best this morning. Um, but I want to thank you all for joining on today's meeting. We will start as the agenda is printed. We will start with the Buckley Phase 7, and I'll turn it over. I'm not sure exactly who's presenting on that, so I will turn it over to the respective person.
I'll just start and just give a quick overview. We are here today with the Arcadis team and our SLAM architects on the Buckley project to talk about Buckley Phase 7. Just what is it? Organizing us into the cycle is understanding that we are presenting today for approval for the board to say that this phase 7 can go out to bid. These approvals go through the board as well as the Hartford School Building Committee, and then to the state. So I am going to turn it over to Kemp, I believe.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here with us.
You bet. Thanks for having us. So good morning, everyone. My name is Kemp Morhart from the SLAM Collaborative. With me today is Dan Drizgula, project manager, as well as Amanda Hastings, interior designer. And we're going to present the phase 7 component of the Bulkley renovation project, which also includes the new commissary building on that campus. And Dan is going to go into the details of what that packaging entails. So Dan, I think you have a presentation to share.
Yes, I do. Let me bring it up onto the screen here. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, this is for the phase 7 Bulkley High School project and central administration project, the core, shell, and interiors. What we'd like to do is just take a second to talk about what core, shell, and interior exactly means for this project. This is quite a significant package in terms of the amount of information. So the core is the restrooms, stairs, elevators, loading docks, site utilities, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, security, teledata, life safety, and fire protection systems that support the function of the building. These spaces are located throughout all the floors. For a building of this size, there's quite a few of them. The shell is the entire exterior envelope of the building, the skin of the building, the outside of it, the windows, entries and vestibules, all the roofing, exterior wall assemblies of all materials that we will get into in a couple of slides. All the framing that supports those, the metal framing, the masonry walls, the insulation, and the waterproofing of those assemblies. And then finally, the interior components, which is a very large piece, which is just about everything else inside the building. It's all of the walls of the various types, flooring, ceiling, all the doors, the frames, door hardware, side lights, any millwork or cabinetry, light fixtures, signage. We have food service equipment as part of the servery and the commissary, all the indoor athletics and new aquatics equipment for part of the gym and the pool, all technology, audiovisual components, our speakers, strobes, things like that, and then the theatrical equipment for the auditorium. And also included within these packages is all the mechanical components that serve all of those. Any questions? So we just want to take a quick moment to show where we are in this process. It's been quite a long process here. So on the left, you have all the sequences or all the phases of the Board of Ed. The first one being the abatement of the spaces for the first floor Welcome Center and Board of Ed, fourth floor Board of Ed spaces, and then the actual renovation. And then part 3 was the phase 3 rather was the fixture, furniture, and equipment. And phase 4 was technology and equipment. This phase of our part of the project here, the balance of the building, will also have their equivalents to phase 3 and 4 from the Board of Ed. Those are phases 8 and 9, which will be future phases. You will see some furniture represented in the interior renderings, but it's to give you a sense of the space, and but that will be presented as part of a future phase. Phase 5, which is currently ongoing, is the demolition and abatement of the high school and other site elements. The VOAG building is down. In the future, the auto shop building will be taken down to make room for the commissary. So that is very much in process. Phase 6, which was recently approved, is the items related to the site, the fields, steel and concrete. We will just quickly touch upon a site plan in a moment, just to orient the team members. And then here's where we are today, phase 7 with our core, shell, and interior. So the overall site plan, just to reorient everybody, our academic building, our Board of Ed entry. We have a small addition on the north side, which there's a vestibule, And this is the future home of the print shop. The central commissary, which what you can't see here is the VOAG building, which was removed, and the auto shop building, which will be removed in the future. And then we have two smaller outbuildings. Sorry, this one here, the press box. This is a new building, part of this package also, as well as the small athletic outdoor storage building, also part of this package. So some before and
Excuse me, I do apologize. Before we move on to, can you go back to the next slide, please?
Sure.
Where is the entrance for the high school? Oh, never mind. I see it. It says main entry. I see it.
Good
And
question. I should have pointed that out.
And then when you stated the removal, and just, I do apologize. I do remember us talking about the removal of the audio. I mean, not audio, the
Auto shop?
Yes, thank you. Auto shop. Are we completely saying that this is not going to be a part of Buckley anymore? I just wanted to make sure that I remember correctly.
Eventually, yes, the auto shop will be completely removed. Right now, it currently houses the district print shop, which will be part of this small addition on the high school. But that building will ultimately be gone.
Okay, because it's not actively being used currently. Is that correct?
Only a small portion for the temporary print shop for the district.
Meaning it's not used as an auto shop.
That is
It's-
correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. So we have some before and afters here, quite a few of them coming up. So bear with me one second. My notes disappeared. There we go. Okay. So on the left, our before image, you can see the VOAG building and the auto shop building, which will be removed, not part of the new campus. But what's really exciting here is seeing the building character transform. If I move my cursor too fast here, let me know. I've had a couple cups of coffee already. So here's our new north addition that serves as an entry into the natatorium space, which is on the end here. And then another small addition, which will house the future print shop. And you could tell the character of the gym. And we have more renderings coming up to show these materials and to talk about them in further detail. Also exciting is the transformation of the north side of the stairs along Weathersfield Ave, and the envelope across Weathersfield Ave. And then here's right where my cursor is the new press box and the new outdoor athletic storage building, which currently do not exist on site. Those will be brand new. And then this is the new commissary, which is kind of in between where the VOAG and the auto center used to be. Excuse me. And then looking from the other side, the new main entry is right here in between the gym and what we call the academic wing. The Board of Ed entry, which is completed, is right here. And part of this project, we will be redoing one of the entries in between the auditorium on the east and west side, and then adding a new entry point. Actually, I'm going to go back a second. There'll be a new entry point on the west side here for the natatorium. And then the transformation here, looking from above, the materials that help break down the scale of this is a very, very large building. So we paid attention to the materials being used to try to reduce that scale and bring some warmth and color to the project. And we have details of those coming up. So a quick walk through our materials, which we will point out in the upcoming renderings. The majority of the academic building is a cementitious panel. This is a very durable, it's a concrete panel. The assembly is the concrete panel. There's a series of clips, insulation, and backup wall. All of those details are included in this submission. I won't bore you with those, but the majority of the building are a neutral palette with different textures, which are very interesting. When the light hits them, you could tell the difference between the textures. And then we have some a red to try to emphasize that Bulkley pride, that the Bulkley red color represent that on the outside of the building, also in 2 textures. The windows and frames and mullions around the entire project all match what the Board of Ed already has installed, which is a charcoal color. The metal canopy there is a charcoal color, and that set the precedent for all the entry points of the building. So there'll be a cohesive feel around the entire facade of the building. We wanted it to really feel like one campus. The glass and color, we'll be using the same color of glass and selective use of frit. So the Board of Ed entry has some frit is a dotted pattern on the top of the glass. If you look at the Board of Ed entry, which helps with some shading, but it also introduces another texture into the glass material. So we're matching that around the entire building as well. The brick, which is a standard size brick, it encompasses the entire grade plane of the building. Very durable product. It helps break down the scale. It's a 4-story building, so by using a brick strip around the grade plane gives not only the durability, but helps to reduce that scale. And this brick is being used not only inside, but is also or outside, but is brought inside to try to connect the inside to the outside. Some of the larger volumes, the auditorium fly tower in particular, which I'll go back for a second, is this volume right here. This is what we call the fly tower. Is a corrugated metal panel, gives that large volume some texture, helps it to kind of stand on its own, but not be lost. The auditorium is an important part of this program. And then the wood look metal canopy ceilings. These are at all the exterior entries, but similar to the brick, they've been brought inside. They help warm up those entry points for the students and people coming into the building, but also help give some nice warmth inside the building in select areas where students congregate and will feel good.
I see Miss Brody's hand is raised. So I just want to give her opportunity. Miss Brody?
Thank you. Good morning. So was all the things mentioned, are we going to go by them? I'm trying to figure out how to get my questions in. Are we going to go by all the things that were listed, like this section, that section? Are we going to go by them section by section?
As far as the different Shant, are you asking about the different components of the package, such as
Yes.
architecture systems? We are going through the architectural components. Dan is walking around the building now. The mechanical components that are inside the building are not going to be talked about in detail, but they do support the facility, and they are in the package.
Okay, so I'll hold my questions to when you think is appropriate, Madam Chair. I don't mind.
Okay, is it concerning anything that he just spoke about?
Well, one is the automotive. Are we going to discuss that part in detail? I'll just ask the questions now.
Yep.
So the automotive, was there anything that because he said it's going to be torn down. Is it anything that we're able to either donate? Because I don't think we would ever have a use for it, or has that already been done? Or just everything that is getting scrapped?
So, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, go ahead.
That is a good question. I will figure out with the support of Mr. Bazzano, if there's anything in there that is in good condition that can be repurposed. So let me look into that and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. And my next question, because I know today we will not be discussing Weaver High and the whole fire alarm system, but it was mentioned here, will this building have the fire alarm system that goes into classrooms and offices and the voiceover? Will this Buckley have that type of fire alarm system?
Yes, the current code requires that there is a horn strobe speaker device in each classroom at this point, and so that is part of the package. Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brody, and thank you for the answers. Back to you, Kemp.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dan, continue.
Oh, Dan, I do apologize.
That's okay. We work together. So on the left is your before image, and on the right is the after image. So some of the properties of the materials of the palette we'd like to point out is that that base of brick that it wraps the perimeter of the building, also extends indoors in some locations. One of the exciting things that I love most about this project is the transformation of the Wethersfield stairs, and using that brick and extending it up to kind of close off that end of the stair, to tie that stair back into the building, make them feel part of the design. Also part of this package is we have curtain wall, which are these large pieces of glazing. All the details related to that. The gray you see on these Wethersfield Ave areas, this is that cementitious or high performance concrete panel in the two different textures that you can get a little sense of the checkering here, which just really gives some animation to this building. It's very subtle, but gives some excitement to a large scale facade. The auditorium fly tower, that is that corrugated metal, which helps the scale of the brick to that, reduces the height of that volume on the left here. It's very large. At all the entry points, the metal panel that matches the Board of Education entry, and the wood look underneath it to give that entry some warmth. You could catch a glimpse of some of the mechanicals which serve the building. Those aren't, as Kemp mentioned, not highlighted in as much detail, but as you see more interior renderings, there's components of the mechanical systems that are above the ceiling, sometimes exposed, sometimes not. And we'll point some of those out as we go. The auditorium itself, around the shell of the auditorium, is also a slightly different color, cementitious or high performance concrete panel to make that feel like its own object. A little subtle on this elevation, but there is some color differentiation between the three stairwells. Those are locker corridors that extend from east to west. We have some views coming in to help show those, but it's the color is being used inside as part of a wayfinding means of wayfinding. So each breaks down the scale of the building. Looking the other way from Wethersfield, looking south, the understory in front of the natatorium is being infilled. I apologize, the view is not quite perfect. It's a little skewed. Wethersfield on the new image is down here. So we're kind of standing in the new green space, which will be quite beautiful on the corner of Wethersfield and Wilmarme. But that understory that's being infilled in front of the pool is this volume right here. And that is the same brick that is wrapping the base of the building here. It's extended up a little bit to close off this end to make it an anchor of this side of the project. Again, the doors and glazing around the exterior perimeter match the color of the Board of Ed. All those documents and details are all included. And the addition, the entry point to the natatorium, that red cementitious panel of the two different textures. One of the mechanical components, we do have some, you could see some exhausts up there, not very exciting, but part of the project. Curtain wall, our glazing, canopy, entry points. Just this end of the building is very transformative to what it is now. This is probably my favorite view. This is the east side of the building. The windowless building now being completely transformed, adding the windows. These are a different type of windows. These are called storefront, but they're more of a, just a different way of detailing it. The stairwells, the east stairwells are maintaining that glazing. So when students are using the stairs, one thing that was important is that the circulation remains bright and connective. We are using some of the frit that's used on the Board of Ed at these stairwells. Here's the Board of Ed entry point. And right now we are infilling in between these two, what we call the bump outs. There's space in between that's being infilled, captured for program, but helps to unify the building along this facade, really connects it together. And then the red cementitious panel flanking the new main entry helps wrap the gym into that. So we saw this as very much a lot of folding things that to try to tie this very large building together. The brick going along. One thing that's exciting is the gym will have some natural daylight. We're providing some window openings into the gym. Currently doesn't have any natural daylight, and giving it some on the east side was an exciting opportunity.
Dan, I'm gonna pause you there. I see Ms. Brody's hand is up again. Just want to make sure that if she had any questions on this one.
Nope, Madam Chair, I never put it down.
Okay, great. Go ahead, continue, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me. It's some, I don't, the hand icon is so small. So here's a couple of enlarged views of what the new main entry is going to look like. Currently is an outdoor space. One of the interior views we have coming up is this outdoor space that connects the gym and the academic wing is being brought into the building. It's going to be an interior space, what we refer to as the South Concourse. The chiller here is removed. The new mechanical equipment will be replacing that. Will be on the other side of the gym, out of sight, to really brighten up this entry point. A double height canopy space. In an upcoming view, you'll see that this brick extends into the interior, connecting that outside of the building into the inside of the building. You can see the little bit of a grand stair underneath the glowing pointer. This is just going to be such a wonderful entry point. We have a new elevator tower that is serving the building. There are new towers at the east ends. They are independent of the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed elevators will remain strictly for the Board of Ed and the Welcome Center. The north and the south elevator will serve Bulkley High School. All the information regarded to these elevators, the details, how it's constructed, all part of this package, in addition to all the refurbishing of the stairwells. And on this slide, a little bit more of a sense of this is a rendering, so but it gives you an idea of the different textures that will help break down the volumes of these scales. And this is the new West Natatorium entry. So what was currently open, the open colonnade, has been infilled, new program in there. And to help connect that part of the building back to the academic wing of the building, we have a metal, we call it a picture frame. We call it the picture frame that connects these two volumes together across this vestibule. Entry point vestibule. Again, the use of the brick and metal panel that will match the rest of the project. This infill does require, currently there is not a second floor here. We are providing a second floor to capture that floor space for program. That structure is part of phase 6, but the fit out, the interior spaces, the walls, doors, all of that is part of this package. And then going down Wilwarme, looking at where the auto shop currently is, which is right where these cars are. Once that is removed, it will be the home of the new commissary, which is set down in the hill. Also, this commissary is using the same material palette as the high school. It is a district function, but we wanted it to feel, it needed to feel like it belongs here. It's part of this campus. So the same brick that is being used in the high school is being used here, the same color tones to make it feel like it belongs. And then on the east side of the gym, those the new window openings.
Dan, I just have a quick. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
I was just going to mention the regional school choice office is that portion below the gym volume. Just point that out, Dan.
Yep, right here.
The only question that I quickly have, so the cars that's parked in the before, are those cars for staff or are those students?
These, when this photo was taken, this was the temporary field office for Newfield Construction. the construction manager of the project. They were utilizing some of this office space. They now have trailers on site. So this was the construction team. The parking on the left here, this is some of the district parking, which will remain until we need to repave that. But it is currently not student parking.
Okay, so for the new phase, I'm assuming that this parking over here would be strictly for the commissary?
That is correct, for the commissary staff and workers and any visitors.
Okay.
One thing we'd like to point out is it's a little hard to see, but there are 2 loading docks as part of this project. One is, they are independent of each other. One is strictly for Bulkley High School, and it is separated from the one that is strictly for the commissary. Those programs do not intermingle at all, even though the loading docks are next to each other on this side of the site. And that information is part of this submission. And here we get into the interior design. I will turn it over to Amanda.
Okay, I'm going to request control. Hopefully that works.
I'm sorry, before you begin, through you, Madam Chair, I'd love to ask a question regarding the
Absolutely.
exterior. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Just my questions around durability of materials. Are they resistant to vandalism? Are they weatherproof, windproof? Just want to get a sense of the wrapping and what we can expect from years to come.
The materials are extremely durable. The brick is on the base of the building is very durable. One of the reasons why we use it there is, if they're mowing and they hit a rock or something, it's very durable. But we have some samples that we can hopefully share one day of the cementitious panels, which are very, very tough. All the detailing is meticulously documented for waterproofing, making sure that water doesn't get into this building. The materials, but yes, they're very durable. The cementitious panel, one of the reasons why we have brick on the bottom base and the cementitious up top is in case there is vandalism, to try to mitigate the damage to those panels. But we were very mindful of the durability of the material palette on this project. Does that satisfy your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Great question.
And just to give more space, are there any additional questions for the exterior before we move on to the interior? Okay, hearing none, thank you. Turn it over to you,
Amanda.
Amanda. Thank you. I couldn't find your name. I just saw the A and I couldn't remember your name. Amanda.
Thank you. I just wanted to start off with showing sort of the background inspiration for how we developed the interiors and really using Hartford and Bulkley as the concept that drove all the interior design, whether it was the color schemes or the detailing inside. We really want to showcase Bulkley spirit and the city of Hartford in here with a design that's enduring, not only that it's cleanable and that it's going to endure for wear and tear, but also that we know that these schools are here for a very long time. And we want to make sure that this design really does stand the test of time, that it doesn't feel dated down the road, and it can sort of evolve as the school evolves. So just some quick images here are some of the murals that are happening in Hartford. Some of this artwork that you see here is from a local artist that takes pictures of Hartford and sort of abstracts them. So that was kind of where we started as just an inspiration for where we came up with some of the stuff that you'll see. Next one. There we go. Oh, sorry. Okay, so looking at the overall palette first, just to give you a very big overview of what is going on in the space. We really used what was happening on the exterior of the building to guide what was then happening on the interior. So it really does feel cohesive from outside to inside. The basic background palette is those cool grays with white, and that really is just the neutral palette that you see throughout the school, so that the accent colors are used specifically to highlight key locations, to bring in wayfinding in certain areas and really just accent certain things that we want to highlight, and so that you don't feel overwhelmed with color all over the place. This is a very large school, so we did want to make sure that we do bring in more color than we're using a lot of that Bulkley red, but we did want to bring in some other accent colors to really define some of the spaces and sort of break up where you have these long corridors. And you'll see that in the floor patterns and in some of the renderings, how we utilize that and worked it in together to bring in that Bulkley red mixed in with these other colors. And we think it's really successful that it does create this nice color palette that you see throughout the building. So to just go through some of the what we have here for finishes, field color throughout the majority of the school. So you would see this in corridors and classrooms, is a gray tone with just a little bit of texture to it. So that way it's a resilient flooring, very easy to clean. And then that is the same as these flooring here. They're all resilient, so a hard surface, but they have a little texture. So it kind of feels a little bit more warm and inviting than the VCT we're used to. It feels a little bit more like a carpet, although it's super cleanable. So you have this as the field color throughout, and then at certain areas, we do utilize those two tones of the dark and light gray to highlight entry areas. And then, as I mentioned, you'll see in the floor patterns where at certain corridors and classroom locations, we have some of these accent colors that come in to define the space. And then in admin areas, we have some wood look floor that sort of relates to what we have in the ceilings. We're just highlighting those spaces and warming them up a little bit. In the health suite, same thing. It just makes it feel a little bit more inviting to have some of that wood and break up a lot of that gray that you see everywhere else. And then some of the conference areas, like down in the locker area where we have conference rooms down there, they bring in a little bit more of that resilient that has a little bit of the red tone in it to bring in that Bulkley color. The athletic floor, we have the rubber floor here, which again in the gray tones with the accent of the Bulkley red to use for wayfinding with those accent colors. Fitness room, again, is a dark black with just a little speckle of the red in there. And then at the auditorium, we do have carpet. So right now, I think it's a very dated maroon carpet. So we're excited to be able to change that to this nice gray carpet that's just a neutral. It sort of makes a nice backdrop. It really refreshes that space. And then there's a similar carpet, which is, it's the same carpet, just a little bit different color. It has a little bit of red in there, again, just to bring in that Bulkley red in certain areas. So we have that in conference rooms, just to sort of make those spaces a little bit more highlighted and inviting to people. And then the one other place that we have carpet is in the teal classroom. And that one, again, it just makes it that more collegiate feel, that those spaces are, something that we wanted to dress up, that we wanted to make them a little bit different from the rest of them. So those ones, we have added the carpet instead of the resilient flooring, although the carpet is, again, very durable, very easy to clean. It's solution dyed, which means that it can be cleaned with any kind of cleaner and it won't fade. All the colors won't have any issues. So we're very confident that even though it is carpet, that it will withstand the test of time. We do have terrazzo. We dressed up that first main entry where the students and faculty are coming into the space. So that lower level lobby up the stairs into the second level lobby all has the terrazzo air, and it really does make that space just pop and highlight. And terrazzo we know will last forever. So that one is a super durable product there. In some of the other classroom spaces and specialty areas like the cafeteria, the student success center, and some of the specialty sort of classroom computer lab spaces, we have this mix of a resilient floor that's in a hexagon. So that again relates to some of the things that we have going on in the ceilings. We do have hex shapes in the ceilings. So we wanted to relate that what was happening architecturally in the ceiling to what was happening in the floor with just a pop of accent colors depending on where it is. The accent paints, as I mentioned, we have a lot of spaces that have that Bulkley red that are brought in, or Bulkley burgundy. We make sure we have the exact color that works for Bulkley. And then certain areas, depending on like the corridor, we have one corridor that's blue, one that's green, one that's orange. So you'll see that in the rendering, how we've highlighted those. So that way, when you're walking down these big long corridors, you do have that break where the stairwell is to sort of divide up that space and give you a sense of where you are in the building based on what color you're coming to. We do have a few wall coverings to sort of add some fun and playfulness to the building, as well as sort of dress up again some of those spaces where in the auditorium and in the main lobbies, we have some of this gray. There is a red wall covering at the main lobby, which you'll see in the rendering again, just to sort of bring in that Bulkley color, but in a more sophisticated way than just a paint color. We really love the way that it just adds texture and feel to the space. And then in some of the specialty classrooms, again, like the computer rooms, just to differentiate them from, there are so many classrooms here. So we just wanted to add a little bit of interest and visual difference to the ones that are a little bit more unique. So we have a little wall covering in those ones. And then in the think rooms, which we have those as breakout spaces throughout the building, those ones, we have a combination of this wall covering here, which is sort of just fun and inspiring for students. We know that they'll be in there working, and we really want to make this feel like a space that is for the kids, that they come in there and they like where they are and they feel inspired to work. So this one with these like really fun sayings, and then this one again is just a neutral background, but it's a little bit more playful and fun. And then one last part that we feel is a big part of this is we're going to have some custom wall coverings, which you'll see some examples of placeholders for that throughout the building. This is for us the big opportunity to bring in that Bulkley spirit, to really tie that to your community, to your school. It can really be customized with our graphics designer in-house to say what you guys want to say, to use the images you want to, if it's whether it's Hartford or some of your artwork, or just, you know, anything is possible with these. So it really is a great opportunity to brand your school and bring in that identity in the space.
Thank you, Amanda. I was going to say, right before we go into the next part, are there any questions?
I just have a question. What type of material or color would be in the restrooms? And also, is the commissary the same thing as cafeteria in this context?
The commissary is actually not, because they're sort of more back of house, and the cafeteria is more for students and dining. The cafeteria is the resilient, where the servery off of the cafeteria would have the quarry tile. That would be the same as the commissary. So it does relate to what's happening in the like the back of house area, but the commissary itself is not the same as the cafeteria, just for extended durability and wear and tear. The bathrooms, which I missed on here, which I realized that late in getting this together, have an epoxy flooring. So it is a poured floor that is super easy to clean. I believe that's the Hartford standard. Most of them have painted CMU walls. A couple of them that don't have the CMU, just because of location, do have a tile on the wet wall for durability and just to, you know, keep that clean and easy to maintain. What I do realize that I missed was we did bring in some of that brick from the exterior into certain areas of the interior. So you'll see that in some of the renderings where we have it in the lobby spaces. Cafeteria wall, that whole area is tiled. So it is a similar look to what we have on the exterior of the building, but obviously much more smaller scale. But it is one tone, and it just has some like different textures. So it really does have a lot of movement to it, but without feeling too much. So it just has a little bit of play with the light, but really it's just the light tone. And then in the elevator lobbies, to highlight that large elevator column, we have tile on that, which is the same tile that you see in the cafeteria, just a different color, but it does have that movement and texture on it to add some play to the space.
Thank you, Amanda. Are there any other questions?
I do. I
Go ahead,
have.
Ms. Burden.
So when we say commissary, we're talking about for the school. What do we refer to food service as? Just food service? So we know the difference. And when we're talking about what specifically for the school.
The school we call the servery. Or
Mhm.
food service equipment, you're correct. The commissary is more for the district in that independent building that's separated from the high school. But
Okay,
so the commissary is more the district element, and then when you, in upcoming slides, when we refer to the servery, that's dedicated for the high school.
okay, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
do we get to the, like, I know Buckley had not a museum, but it definitely was something special there, a room or a hit, I'm not getting it right, but I
The
think,
Historical Society.
yeah, is that still gonna be in the new building and we just
Yes.
didn't get to it yet?
Yes, that's in the new building. We could point that out on the floor plans coming up. It's
Okay.
in a much more visible location. Right now, it's up on the second story on the north side, and the new location will be at the first floor level, in between a lot of open circulation, so we could really bring the visibility and celebrate that space.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And then my quick question, because some of them were already answered. With the custom wall covering graphics, just curious on the timing of that. And let me just give you some context on why I'm asking that question. I think that it would be a wonderful idea, and this would be more or less for Chief Davis Gouge, just that for input for our students of, like, if they created something for a custom wall covering, even if it's just a small space, just so that they can have the feel that they were a part of the design. But if this is something that is like a timing thing for the custom walling, maybe that wouldn't be helpful. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Yeah, usually with the custom wall covering, it is one of the last things that gets installed in the school. So we do have a lot of time for that, because with the construction, it's usually, because it sort of is more of a delicate thing that goes up after everything else is in place, that it does allow for more time to sort of figure that out and work with you guys, and allow students to be involved, if that makes sense. I think that would be a great part of the story to have that and showcase that. So yeah, I think there's plenty of time for that. Just we buy it now, part of the package, and then develop that down the road.
Thank you, Amanda. Chief Davis Gouge, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I think that would be just a great idea to have student involvement, if the principal is okay with that.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. We'll make sure we pursue that.
Thank you. And then Amanda, just curiosity of the color spectrum. So I see the colors on the side for the accent flooring on the quarters of the classroom, and then it's a continuation of the colors throughout the building. However, there's like shaded differences of the colors. I'm just curious on why that's done that way. And forgive me, I am really meticulous about colors. I do that in my own house, so forgive me when I'm asking that question. But just like I see the slight difference in the coloring of the maroon when we get to the specialty classrooms, and to the accent paint, and then to the wall covering. So I'm just curious on the different shades of similar colors.
It's mostly because they're different products. So these ones are a flooring product. So this one has a little bit more texture. So when you have an accent paint color, it's a solid paint color, but then the flooring has a little bit more play of that, a few tones in there. So even though they may not look like they match exactly here, when you see them in real life, they play together very well. So that's the same with like the wall covering. It's very hard to show that in these 2D pictures of a wall covering, but when you see it in person, it does capture the light, so that even if it's not 100% the same as the paint color, when they're together, they really do work together. And that is, as an interior designer, that is one of those things that we're very particular about too, because the colors being off is what people notice that like it's wrong. So it's definitely something that we can put this board together with actual finishes to give to you guys, so that you can see it in person and see all of these all of the finishes and touch them and how they actually look in person. I think that would probably help, because it's very hard to like show that on here, but it is because they're different products.
Thank you for the explanation. And then lastly, the black in the fitness room, is that intentional due to it being a fitness room? Because I do know we've been using the shades of gray, and I'm just shocked that it wouldn't be a gray with the speckles of maroon.
Yeah, because it is the fitness flooring, there are certain flooring that you need that's the thickness to whether you have like weights and stuff so that it absorbs that if their weights are dropped and all the equipment that's on there. So there's only certain, very limited palette for those options that have the gray. If it was gray with the maroon, we probably would have opted for that. But since it was the only option was black with the maroon, that it sort of does work with the other colors because we do have some of that black brick and the black trim that you see, some of the dark terrazzo. So it does play well with the overall view, but it's going to have a lot of equipment on it, and it has a placeholder in there for some of the graphics as well. So I think even though it does look heavy here, I think in the space with the big window there, you won't feel like it's a big black floor. It does have a lot of stuff happening in it.
Thank you so much, Amanda. I appreciate your explanation. Are there any other questions on this particular slide before we move on? Seeing none, turn it back over to Amanda.
Thank you. So here, we're just going to go sort of floor by floor and look at what we have for the floor plan and how that relates to the floor patterns in the product. So this is that lower level area where you see here is the entry to that main lower lobby where we have the terrazzo. There's some linear portions there that you'll sort of see better in the rendering where you come in, and that it really is like the highlighted space. Off of that, which you see over here as blown up, you come into the locker area and the entrance to the natatorium as well as the health suite. So this area we have again that field color. And I thought it would be nice to sort of bring in the colors that we have throughout the floors above, just because there's not a accent color that really made sense to have here. So I thought it just might be nice to bring in those colors that you see throughout, since this is sort of a space where everybody comes to. So they're just these linear lines that you see that sort of make that path along that main corridor there that surrounds the lockers. And then within the locker space, you have the epoxy floor in the bathrooms, in the shower locations, and then it is that rubber flooring that you see in this area, where it's a dark rubber as the field, and then the red accent, and then the lighter accent in the sort of linear pattern is what makes up that sort of wayfinding that defines that space into there. Also in the pool area, you have a tile that surrounds the pool, which again is like a sort of a neutral dark gray. There's a lot of highlighting of vocally red in that space, which again, you'll see these all in the renderings. So we just wanted to sort of keep some of that floor neutral. We didn't feel like you needed to bring in a pattern to some of those areas. The locker rooms here, again, because they're off the pool area, are all the epoxy just to keep, if they're wet spaces, to keep them clean and durable. And then you do have a couple of the classrooms down here, which one of them is like an OTPT space. And then I am totally blanking on what the name of these classrooms are.
iGoal classrooms.
iGoal, okay, yes. So again, that was sort of one of the reasons why I wanted to add a little bit of color down here, because, the kids are coming down to these iGoal classrooms and it just adds a little bit of fun. Plus, I know that they use those corridors to sort of practice walking and doing things. So I thought maybe having those linear markings on the floor will work with them in the way that they do try to walk and get exercise out in that corridor.
Amanda, one thing to point out is the wood look resilient in
Yes.
the nurse suite.
Yep. So you'll sort of see throughout where we have a wood look, whether it's the gym or the health suite or the OTPT, they sort of all look like wood, but they're not necessarily the same product. So thank you, Kemp, for pointing that out, that in this health suite, it is a resilient, very easy to clean wood look plank. And then in the OTP area, that is also a wood look, but it is specifically a flooring that has a little bit of cushion so that the activities that they do in there are meant for that type of flooring. So if they're falling or if they're bouncing or anything, it's sort of it's not as sophisticated as a gym floor. It's sort of an in-between, but it does have that same wood look, just a little bit more give to it. And then the same, there's a little workroom up here on the Roscoe area where we brought in a little bit of that wood, but mostly it's carpet up here since that is own space. And then you'll sort of see that, and I'll point it out throughout some of the other spaces where we brought in that wood just to warm up some of them. So moving on to the first floor, again, so this is where you see that wood look, but this is actually wood in the gym with a little bit of the rubber that comes in here just because of the ramping and the need to bridge that gap between the doors and where that is. We have the rubber, which relates to what's happening down in the athletic area. And then from this lower lobby, what you see here is this whole main first level lobby area is all of that terrazzo, which again, it has that same linear pattern that sort of leads you down this corridor, whether it's towards the academic wing or towards the athletic area, but very subtle. So it's still just tones of gray. And then this area in the middle where we have a little bit of seating that you'll see in the rendering, that is a gray tone, but it has a little bit of like red speckle in it that does relate to the Bulkley color. As you come up to this area, we have our admin suite here. So again, most of this is all resilient flooring. It does again have that a little bit of texture to it. So it sort of feels like carpet, but more durable. And then we just have the carpet in the conference rooms. And then in the faculty workrooms and the faculty little dining areas, just to again, differentiate those areas and warm them up a little bit, we have that wood look resilient flooring. As you move down through here, as you can see, as I mentioned, there is that resilient hexagon shape. So we have that sort of highlighting areas in the student success center, in the computer area here, in the cafeteria, and then this is the music suite. So just highlighting those specialty areas that are a little bit different from classrooms by using that resilient flooring. And then as you see here, these are classrooms which we thought it really made sense to just kind of be consistent throughout, because we know that programs change and classrooms change. So just keeping the flooring the same throughout them. And there's just a small little accent that's just a light gray linear portion that comes in at the doorway just to sort of define that front of the classroom space. But throughout the school, all the classrooms have the same two-tone gray flooring and same pattern, just so that way there's easy to change. If the accent color changes on the wall, it's easy to change where the flooring is just neutral. What also you see here is these two concourses. So the north and the south concourse where you come in through the entries, those are resilient flooring, but they are dressed up a little bit. That does have the Bulkley red to sort of lead you into the space and lead you into the auditorium or to the lobby. And again, with that play of the linear that sort of directs you side to side, depending on where you're going, but playing with those dark and light colors. This is,
Amanda, can you point out the display cases at the top of the lobby as you come up the stairs that will house all that great Bulkley historical culture?
Yes, so it's hard to see on here, but this area right here has a whole bunch of built-in display cases. So as you come up the stairs, that is really like the first thing you see as you turn into that space is this whole wall. And then this area right here is actually that historical room. So we do have a placeholder in here for a graphic wall covering that could be, anything showcasing Bulkley history. And then in here we have some of the existing existing display cases that we're taking from the current place and putting in here. So we've have a place on the wall for that. I know we also have that large, beautiful table that you guys have that we're bringing in here. So this one, it really is that you can see it from the outside. You can see it as you walk into that space. There's a visual connection here to really showcase that stuff. Any questions? Hopefully I'm not going through this too fast. I know we have a lot of stuff to get through. So.
I don't see any questions, Amanda, so we can go ahead and proceed.
So then on to the second floor, again, you see a lot of the same, where, as I mentioned, the classrooms have that same pattern and the two-tone gray throughout, but this is sort of where we start bringing in some of those other colors, because this floor is a little bit separated from those main entries and the really Bulkley heavy focused areas. So we know that this is just it's a big floor plan. So we wanted to somehow divide these areas up without being too overwhelming. So that's why we brought in these accent colors at each of these central corridors, which align with the stairwell. So in that stairwell, you'll also see that accent color in here. So when you're in that stair, you know the orange stair is stair 2, and that you're in the middle stair, or that's probably the wrong number of the stair, but stair 1, stair 3, you know, that they have that sense of space where you are just based on that color. But as you're walking down this corridor, it does sort of help to break that up, that where you get to these intersections, you have that linear pattern and color. As you can see here, again, some of these specialty computer spaces, this is where we have that hexagon with some of those accent tiles just to sort of bring in colors from the other spaces. And it's the majority is that the grays with just a pop of color here and there throughout. The media center, this is one other space where we thought it really did make sense to have carpet in here. It's a darker color with some lighter gray striations. So again, very easy to clean. And the space, you know, is covered with bookcases and tables and stuff. So even though it might seem very heavy here, like when you'll see the rendering, it does feel a lot lighter and brighter. But we really wanted to make sure that media center, the teal space that you see next to it do feel elevated, that they really are inspiring for kids to be here and sort of feel comfortable, as well as you know, have that collegiate feel. We know that these high schools really want to inspire them for the next steps. And so having these sort of spaces feel that way, I think is important. So you see the tile here in the teal area, which again is sort of that hexagon shape, which relates to the shape of the room, as well as some of the stuff that's happening in the ceiling. This secondary admin suite, again, is a majority of the resilient flooring that sort of has a carpet look to it, while the two conference rooms over here, again, have carpet. And then there's a wellness room that has a little bit of that resilient wood look to it. And then this is where you see that whole fitness room. So there is a large window here that sort of makes it light and bright. And then we have a spot here as a placeholder for that graphic wall covering, and then sort of accents around the room, as you see here. And there's a lot of mirrors on this side that relate to sort of the open area, group area. And as you move down here, then this is another one of the faculty workrooms where, again, we have some of that wood look floor just to sort of differentiate that space and warm it up a bit.
So going forward into the next couple floor plans, the third floor is similar to this one. So we can just glance at it quickly.
Yep.
You'll see that in the center areas where the restrooms are, that's what we refer to as the core, which house the restrooms, custodial closets, electrical IDF, which is your data closets in each floor. That's part of this. All the thick black walls you see around the outside, that's what the shell is. All detailed as part of this package. So there's quite a bit of content here, but we still have a few more slides to go. So want to just speed it up a little bit more. And then going up to the fourth floor, which is the north end, is the science end, which we have a rendering of one of those interior rooms. Again, that wonderful bar of color in the middle connecting the east and west stairs. And you can see on the top left of the page, that's the north elevator that comes up to this floor.
Yeah, and again, with the same thing, you can see the classrooms, even though they're science, they still have that same tone on tone with just a little bit of pattern at the front of the room, and then that defining color that differentiates that corridor.
Getting into the interior renderings, this is standing in the new main entry. The key plan to the left gives you a kind of sense of where you're looking, which is towards that new north elevator, which has some branding on it. And then a large mural wall to highlight that large, great opportunity for some of that, bringing that culture and school spirit in Hartford into the building. On the left of the slide, it's a double height space. It's 2 stories tall. So that's where we have what we call curtain wall, large windows, very tall assemblies, part of that exterior wall. This space also has suspended acoustical ceilings, which are those white kind of square pads. Those are hung down from the ceiling, and they have lights in between to really try to highlight the height of this space. Up above it is where you have all your mechanicals run, your fire, your sprinklers, fire enunciators, ductwork, all that's like paint. We call it painted out, so it kind of goes away, but the ceiling really feels like it's floating. You also, on the right side, where the grand stair goes up to the upper lobby, that introduction of the brick on the outside into the inside, and then the handrails of wood warming it up to lead you up to that next story. And then the terrazzo patterns that Amanda was pointing out.
And then you see some of this is where you see that tile that's sort of framing the large elevator corridor, as well as that wall covering that we have here, which just sort of elevates that. Instead of just having a paint color, it really gives texture and a little bit more durability to that spot where we're highlighting Bulkley School that you see right when you come in. And then here also, right when you come in, is a digital signage board. So that really is something that you're focused on, that you guys can customize to show whatever you like when they come into the space.
And then the visual connection from when you enter up to that upper lobby, giving the students a opportunity and the faculty to just really get a sense of the space, look from up above to the entry. Actually, right where we're standing is right where you'd walk in through the security checkpoint as well. So this is one of the nicest spaces coming into the building. Go ahead, Amanda. So here we went up the stairs of the main entry, and now we're standing in that main lobby. To our right, if you look to the left of the screen, those white boxes are the display cases of the historical items. They're kind of out of view just because of where we're standing, but the expression of this upper lobby and the connection of this lobby down to the other one, and the brick coming in, the wood look metal ceilings that run around this perimeter warm this space up, and introducing some Bulkley red on the soffit, and the construction of all these ceiling materials. Lots of detailed documents to highlight all this. All of the lights are in some of this space. Actually, in many spaces, we have suspended ceilings juxtaposed to exposed structure that is painted, very similar to the Board of Ed. For those of you who are familiar, there's areas where we celebrate the building structure, paint it, and mount lights and things that we need to it to give a unique variance of space in the building. The wood tones throughout the building are all similar to unify that warm wood tone. The doors, the wood look metal ceiling, the handrails, all part of that same species and family of tone to connect everything together.
And as Dan mentioned, what you see, some of this furniture here, even though it's not technically part of this package, we just want to show you how to utilize this space, how we envision it happening. But we do come back and meet with you down the road to sort of discuss furniture, what works for you, colors, and all of that. So this is just sort of showing that there could be a seating area, gathering area here. You are right outside of the gym. So this lobby here is a nice place to sort of touch down, sort of a waiting area outside of the main entrance. And it sort of anchors that space and really does make it feel upgraded. Another feature here is there's this wall covering right when you walk in up the stairs. It's hard to see here because it's tiny, but it does have all of these sort of inspirational words around it, from leadership and excellence, that sort of each of these lines relate to that. And we really like the fact that these spaces do feel grown up, but they also, we know that there's kids here, and we want it to feel fun and playful and inspiring to those kids that are coming into this space, that even though it does, it looks sophisticated, but it also has that little bit of playfulness in that wall covering there.
Right, and some of those words are from the existing building now on the outside of the building. So taking some of that history and bringing it in and making it new. Yeah, let's go to the next one. So this is the North Concourse. So this was an exterior space, which is now interior. So part of the documentation was that left wall there was used to be an exterior wall. It's now interior. Here again with new acoustical ceilings, pendant lighting. We have some openings on the top right that brings some natural light into interior spaces. Very exciting views from that program up there to be able to look down into this large space. We went through a lot of the materials already, so we'll skip pointing some of those out.
Yep, I think the only one different here is that there's, again, another wall covering. Just because it's such a huge corridor here, we wanted to do something that sort of highlights that side where you have that specialty computer room. What you don't see right out of the view right around here is the entrance to the historical room. So that sort of textural wall covering sort of just highlights that space. And right behind us is the Student Service Center or Student Success Center. So it just sort of activates that whole corridor and makes it a little bit more lively.
Okay, so the gymnasium, bright and fresh. Part of this package is the athletic storage or the athletic equipment, the basketball hoops, the nets, the new premier floor, the extendable bleachers, motorized extendable bleachers. On the end of this, you could see the new window openings, the fenestration, get some natural light into this space, brighten it up. This is one of the spaces where the mechanicals is also part of this package. The ceiling fans, the lights, the ductwork is it's going to be visible. So it really is a tall and great space. That's the natatorium. Personally, my favorite view of the building. Just the transformation of this space. So the neutral tones with the bright pops of the red acoustical block for sound control is being added to the walls. The ceiling is being revised right now. It's on an angle. It's being flattened with a specialty acoustical ceiling suitable for warm or moist and warm environments. A lot of attention was paid to the detailing of this space due to the chlorine. Also, the mechanical system is very sophisticated for this space to make sure that the space is humidified, dehumidified properly, conditioned properly. I'm most excited to see this one, I think. And then the cafeteria and the servery on the right, the food service package is not, you don't see too much of it, but the servery has all new food service equipment in there, working specifically with a vendor who's very consultant who's very familiar with Hartford public school standards and circulation equipment, what they need. And then again, just the differentiation of spaces. On the left, you have the painted structure, suspended lights, different feel, super graphics on the left, acoustical ceilings, recessed lighting, linear lighting. Let's go to the next one. And then a view from the media center, which, as Amanda mentioned, the carpet on the right, that's one of those picture frames that overlooks the east side, which is just going to be such a wonderful view of the new windows on that side of the building as part of that envelope change and all that enclosure.
And then just to mention, you back here, you do see that wall covering, which relates to what's happening down in that corridor concourse that we showed you. So it really ties those spaces together.
Next one. And then the teal, which is short for Technology Enhanced Active Learning Classroom. This has those suspended hexagon ceilings, similar to the lobbies to give you an expression of that space, make it feel a little bit taller. And the tables that each student can learn independently, but also look at the screens. This is going to be this is a very collegiate feeling space. This is going to be just a fabulous space inside this building. Next one. And then our typical locker corridor, this one is representing the blue, but the three colors are on the right. The exposed ceilings, seeing some of the mechanicals, the lights here are directly attached to the ribs, so they're up high to really illuminate the space, and some breakout areas at the ends of each of these corridors, which will collaboration opportunities for students.
I was gonna, add. We did want to keep the lockers neutral throughout and sort of relate to that dark tone. So everywhere that there are lockers, they are all the same in a dark gray. That color that you see is just above them, sort of. So it's not full walls of the whole corridor. We just wanted to highlight certain places to bring in that color without it feeling too overwhelming. And then if you can sort of see at the end of the hallway, adding this graphic that brings in a little bit of that Bulkley red, which we thought would be nice to sort of each corridor, even though it may be a different color, it does bring in that Bulkley color in the furniture and some of the areas here, just to sort of tie that all together.
Okay, only a couple more left. The auditorium concourse. This is the original location of the entry point that had that circular security desk. But here we've removed some walls to open the space up, allow that connectivity from the upper story to the lower story here. The handrails, the stairs being completely redone, all those details included in this submission. And then again, the representation of brick and suspended ceiling. Next one.
And then again, we do have a placeholder for custom graphic wall covering here, which right now it shows as if it relates to that main lobby that you first saw. But again, it could be anything, and we can really work with you to customize this to be whatever makes sense for you guys.
Okay. And then the auditorium. the refurbished auditorium, the ceiling structure will be rehabbed and stay, be put, cleaned up, put back. The new mechanicals not seen here, but there's extensive work going on above these ceilings to redo all the mechanicals in this space, the lighting, air conditioning, all of those things. The shape of the stage is being revised as well to match that ceiling, really express that spring stage out into the auditorium. And the neutral tones, the seating will be part of this package. The chairs are being replaced, and there'll be pops of color on those. And then the acoustics, that wood on the side is an acoustic property in an auditorium. The paying attention to the acoustic performance of these special assemblies is important.
And then we do bring in a little bit more at the front of the stage here, the tile that you would see at the elevator cores. So that to tie that in and give some added visual difference here, we brought that into the space. Just to mention, as Dan said, the chair color here is pretty much the same as what we did at Weaver, but using the Bulkley color. So it's a pattern of dark gray and light gray with then the pops of Bulkley red throughout. So it doesn't just feel heavy like one solid color here. It sort of just makes it a little bit more lively.
And the last two renderings are your typical classrooms. So there's, these are an example of there's a lot of classrooms in this building, but we have the, like on the right side of the screen, you can see that new cabinetry and millwork, that wood tones that'll be represented, all those details included in this submission. And
just to note, so here you're seeing this sort of light blue accent. Actually, it's looking a little bit more teal, but it really is, it relates to the blue. So instead of having any accents on the floor, we thought just to highlight the classrooms, one wall of color in each of them, depending on where they are in approximation to that core color. So you'll have green ones, blue ones, orange ones, depending on where you are in the space.
And then your typical science lab with the kidney-shaped tables, which will be permanently in place, the millwork, and then the flooring. So I think it's very similar to the previous one. So we're just about wrapping up here. So let's go to the next one, Amanda. Actually, if I can.
Is that it? I can.
How do I take back the control?
Give up control. I give up.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so a lot of information. Apologies if we went too quick, but this is a very large package. It's broken up into 3 different volumes due to the amount of sheets. It's 733 drawings, probably a couple more. So we broke it up into certain areas that we started with at the beginning of the project, but there's many other things that we didn't highlight necessarily because they're a little dull, like the building code and plumbing counts and things. But the building is being designed to current codes, as Kent mentioned with the fire alarm. All the food service equipment, aquatics, fire protection, the plumbing, there's lots of sheets on that, mechanical, electrical security. So very substantial package. I'll just leave these up for a second so you can read them, just to get a sense of all the details and drawings, elevations, just very substantial and robust.
And as a reminder to board members, this will be provided to us as well, so we can take the time to look at this in detail. As you're reviewing, Dan, I just want to, before I interject, is this the end of the presentation?
This is the second to last slide.
Okay.
So here's just to put up on the screen the schedule provided by the construction manager, just to give the group a sense of where we are and the durations of activities. So currently this package is phase 7, and then so construction would start March of next year, and I'm sorry, that's our documents. Construction would start May of next year and go until 2024. It's a large project, quite a bit of work, so they do take some time to build. And that's our last slide.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amanda. I just want to first just start off just saying thank you for the presentation. Very in-depth, presentation that allowed, I know for me to understand things in layman's terms. So I appreciate that level of detail. And I will say maybe my colleagues would appreciate that as well. I'll open up the floor if there are any questions. I know we have about 14 minutes left in our meeting, but if there are any questions for Dan and or Amanda, feel free to jump in.
Madam
Well,
Chair, I don't have a question. Or did Ms. Bello have you can ask your question. I had a comment.
Thank you. And it just popped in my head, knowing sort of the state of the world and supplies and such, and delays. Is the timeline that you shared over the 2 years, sort of including flexibility for materials and shortages and et cetera?
The timeline we do take, that is factored into the best of our knowledge. We work closely with the estimating team and the construction manager for those things, but as we're all becoming familiar with, it's kind of unpredictable in the future. So we do our best to take that into account. Hopefully things will improve, and that's all we can hope for.
Thank you. I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So look forward to the next steps.
Thank you.
Ms. Brody?
Yes, we are in December. Madam Chair, is this your last meeting as far as chairing this committee?
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to give others the opportunity, as well as myself, to thank you for leading us through all of this committee work. This committee has, like, a lot of the work here is very heavy. So I wanted to thank you for your service and to provide others the opportunity to do the same as leading us in this work.
Well, thank you, Ms. Brody. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. As we are moving into Dan and Amanda, I just wanted to thank you for this. This presentation will go to our other board colleagues as we are bringing this to the full board meeting. The expectation is not for you all to present. There is no way we'll be able to present this full presentation during our regular board meeting. However, we will encourage them to view this YouTube so that they can hear some of the questions that we have asked, and then being able to follow up with any additional questions that they may have. And so again, I just want to thank you both for the presentation.
You're welcome.
Quickly, I know Chief Davis-Gouge, we have updates from the Choice and Facilities Office, and then we have an update from Transportation. And so I just wanted to we have 10 minutes to respect everyone's time. I just wanted to give an opportunity. So I'm turning that over to you, Miss Chief Blackbird. I mean, you hear me, Blackbird, Chief Davis-Gouge.
Thank you so much. So if my team is willing, I think I can cover it, but you chime in when I'm missing something. So the first thing I wanted to share is that I want to take this opportunity to share that our operations team has been instrumental in the support of our extended day programming opportunities, specifically for Hope 2 and Saturday Academy. Of course, they work to make sure that the custodial, meal service, and transportation are all in place for those programmings. Hope 2 opened up yesterday. It was great to see. The students were very excited. And as you know, the first day of Saturday Academy is this Saturday, December 4th. I'm just going to ask Kayla Palace, who is the Assistant Director in the Office of Enrollment and School Choice, just to quickly share a brief overview. We talked about in our last meeting that we were going to come back and just quickly talk about our marketing campaign. So I'm turning it over to Ms. Palace.
Thanks, Sherry. Good morning, everyone. Pleased to be with you today. So just wanted to give a quick high-level overview of some of the marketing and recruitment efforts that our office is engaged in. Just as a reminder for everyone, our Hartford District Choice application will open up on January 3rd and continue through March 14th. Families are able to select up to 4 options through that application. The regional school choice application is currently in progress that opened up on November 8th and will continue through January 31st. Families are able to select up to 5 schools through that application. Both of these web banners are in English and in Spanish, and you can also find that on our hartfordschools.org webpage. It's sort of the main web slider or banner that folks will see when they find our website. And just to give a couple updates in terms of some of our print and digital items. So we have, in alignment with the DME colors, we've continued to utilize that through our campaign and print and digital materials. Similar to some of the things that we had last year, a Check Out My School flyer, we have this in a PDF and a JPEG file so that schools are able to provide these out at fairs, at open houses, provide them to existing families and students to kind of bring home and showcase their school to other prospective or interested families. It's sort of a letter format, which we feel like really provides that personalized approach to speak to interested students and parents, along with just some of the top accolades that schools have, along with their virtual and in-person open house opportunities. I already shared that the web banner is up on our website, and open house cards, something else that we have created for this season that will be on our website and also through our grassroots efforts out in the community. We will share those open house cards so that folks can engage with our schools and get to learn more about them, both again, virtually and in person. Yes.
Kayla, I think we can talk more at our next meeting.
Okay.
I'm just going to open it up to questions on this piece. Thank you.
I have a
question.
question.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Ms. Brody.
Have we ever considered aligning the Hartford process with the magnet process,
RESCO?
like
Yep.
those dates? Yeah.
We have, Ms. Brody, and I think just based on my experience, what has happened in the past is that having given families the opportunity to engage in one first and then followed by the district is something that has been helpful, because even though they're not aligned, the team here at Hartford Public Schools is doing the work of connecting with families and saying, hey, and our students and saying, hey, right, this application is open. Ours is going to open it within the few weeks. However, we just helping guide through the process. When we opened at the same time, it was just like a lot of questions about which one should I be filling out when. And so we're doing the work of managing our engagement to make sure we're helping families make good decisions.
Okay, so in my experience over the years, and then currently some parents will think I've already filled out the application. And yep. Then we're like, no, you have another application. So I don't know, it's something to think about, because it has always been a lift to get those Hartford parents to say, no, if you don't get a spot at, some of our RESCO, as a result of the RESCO application, you still have to fill out this one. And I thought years ago we made them align, but I hadn't in recent years paid attention to the date.
Yeah, and you're right. Ms. Brody, I'm not going to repeat it just due to the time, but you're right. And so what was happening when they opened up at the same time, families were thinking if they completed one application, they were done. So what we're doing now is like, great, we know you completed that application. Now, guess what? Here is another application. So separating it has given us, in terms of the data, we can see that families are engaging in a more, whatever the word is, I'm sorry, they're engaging more when we open up the second application, because we're saying to them, okay, that was your magnet application and open choice. Now here is your district application. When we were doing them both at the same time, it was difficult, but what we're doing now is taking the full period, right? The RESCO starting in November and we're ending in March. Then that way we have a longer bandwidth time to engage with our families. So we're going to continue to monitor like how that's working in terms of our numbers of applications, but your point is well taken.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla. And I just have a quick question. Has there ever been a thought of streamlining the application so that it's just one application that our families are doing? So that it more or less like a click box or a check box, so that we're not having multiple applications?
Yeah, so as you know, Chairman Clark, the RESCO lottery application is managed by the state. And so they have their own application system. And so they can't manage their system and our system as well. Okay. And so it has been talked about. If you look at our website, we try to be very clear about which application does what. And there are different links there to support our families. But again, because that is a state-run application system, it's hard for them to support our district because the RESCO application system supports the Greater Hartford region. So applications are coming from multiple districts.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, if everyone could give us about 5 more minutes. Next on the agenda is, if I'm not mistaken, where did it just go? Transportation.
Yeah, Claudio, did you have anything to add or should we? Okay, thank you. So on the transportation update, the agenda item reads review of RFP for transportation contract. So my apologies, I should have connected with Ms. Santiago and changed that. So due to the current busing situation in the state, we are planning a meeting per the superintendent's request with our current transportation vendor to discuss an extension versus going back out into an RFP process. We have done, and Bill has shared in this meeting, that our current autumn contract has been really, they have done a great job in supporting our students in the transportation efforts. We have not had the level of concerns that other districts are experiencing with their transportation. They're a smaller company, and which allows us to not have the disruption. And so we want to have a conversation with the bus company around a 1-year extension, just to ensure our students are, getting to school and we're not out there. I'm going to ask Bill to say a little bit more about what it would mean, right? Bill had shared with me that there were, just bus shortages, just the bus itself. And so going out and expecting that the larger companies would be able to support our large district as well as the districts that they're already supporting would probably not be feasible. Did I get that right, Bill?
Yeah, that's pretty much right. So it's pretty much due to the uniqueness of our contract, where we have vans that we use for our out-of-town busing, and then for special ed, and then in city we have small yellow buses, which are CDL drivers, and then our large buses are CDL drivers. So if we have a problem where we're not going to have enough CDL drivers on big bus, we're able to take some smaller yellow buses and replace them with van drivers who don't have to have CDLs to drive in a van. They have to have a passenger license, and that's the uniqueness of this contract with this company who has types of vehicles. So in order to have another provider come in, they would have to be able to, supply 250 buses for our fleet at one time. And if they have to go out and buy new buses at this time, there's pretty much a 5 to 7 month delay from the plant getting anything new, just like there is with new cars or anything else that having a chip problem with, or any, plant problems that they have with staffing. And also, we just think at this time it's easier to go this way. As I said many times on this call, that we have not had any real issues with buses being able to run. We haven't had runs that weren't covered. And it is, pretty much the uniqueness of this company that we're using.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
So, I'm sorry, Chairman Clark.
Nope, go ahead.
I was just thanking Bill and saying, so having said that, an update will be provided on that meeting hosted by the superintendent, and we'll provide an outcome, an update in our next meeting.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions concerning that meeting or any suggestions for that meeting? Seeing or hearing none. Last, and I kind of skipped one, are there any additional construction updates that we should be aware of?
I don't think so, right, Claudia?
Yes, nothing new to report. Thank you. Everything is progressing as expected.
Thank you so much, Claudia.
You're welcome.
That is the end of it. We actually got through 10:02. Thank you, everyone. As Ms. Brody shared, go ahead.
Chairman Clark, I needed to give you an update on your question regarding no-show. It's quick.
Yes, go
So,
ahead. Yes.
We had started with, back in August, 2,662 no-shows. Of that number, 2,154 have been re-engaged, which we're very happy to share that. And 446 of those students had withdrawn to other programs. So if we look at it in percentages, 81% were re-engaged, 17% withdrew, and 2.4 continue to be no-show cases. So 2,662 we started with, and now we're down to 63, which represents that 2.4%.
Okay, so the 63 are the ones that potentially moved out of state, or something like that.
Yeah, we're still trying to determine their whereabouts.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that update. I did forget that I asked that question. It would have came later, but definitely thank you for that. Ms. Brody asked if you can share those. Can you please share those numbers? She's asked if you could please share those numbers. If you could just drop them in the chat for her, that would be great.
Yep, absolutely. And I will also put them in the report back.
Thank you. That would be great.
Okay.
And then as Ms. Brody shared, with sadness, this will be my last meeting chairing over this committee, and also just being on the board. And so I just want to thank you all for your dedication to Hartford Public Schools and dealing with me and my questions of construction and facilities and choice and all of this, because it's a new thing. It's different when you're on the outsider and you're looking in, but now when you're in the details and trying to understand it a little bit better so you can help explain it to our parents and our families, we want to make sure that we're understanding it. So I just want to thank you all for your hard work and dedication. I want to thank my colleagues for their work and dedication in this committee. It's hard work. We have a lot of projects that are moving at one time. So I just want to thank you all, and just don't forget to invite me during the opening sessions when these projects are done. So thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman Clark. If I could just take an opportunity to thank you. You have been a pleasure to work with. Your questions have driven us to do better. And so I thank you, and I would certainly miss you and echo everything that Ms. Brody also shared.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'll give you, I know we're 5 minutes over, so thank you all for hanging in there, and see you all in a regular board meeting.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.